Thank you for stopping by Luxuriously Poor, and I hope you find today's video helpful. And I would like to say that if you need wisdom on what to do for now or the future, this book is extremely helpful. Today's recipe comes from an old Pillsbury cookbook of mine that's over 30 years old, and it's sweet rolls. Now I'm going to use my KitchenAid. It's something I really don't like using that much, but I'm going to try it with this. I normally make these by mixing it in a bowl by hand. You're going to start off with 1.5 cups of flour in the bowl, 2 packets of yeast, and a teaspoon of salt. And that's all you're going to put into the bowl for the moment, flour-wise. Now I'm heating up a stick of butter here, and I'm also going to add a cup of milk. I want this to be kind of warm. Now, I have 1.5 cups of flour in my KitchenAid bowl, and over here, I have 2 more cups of flour. It calls for about 3.5 to 4 cups. So, I got my 2 other cups here, and the 1.5 cups makes it 3.5 cups. This recipe also calls for 2 eggs, and we've got our 2 eggs sitting here in a bowl, and we're going to add all of this into our mixer. Okay, here we go. I am going to pour my milk and my butter in here, and then my eggs. I have the 2 eggs. And then I'm going to put my mixer down, lock it, turn it on a low speed to start off with. And then I'm going to let this kind of stir itself together. Turn it up a little bit. Okay, I added the rest of the flour to this. I'll tell you, I'm almost to the point. I think I'd rather mix this by hand than use this thing for it. But oh well, too late, I already started. But here we go. We're going to mix the rest of this flour in this. So we get a dough here. The dough hook is supposed to knead the bread. I'm not big on using this thing. I used it only twice since my son bought it for me. But I thought I would try it with this. It seems to be working, but it's hard for me to hold the camera and mix in all the ingredients and do everything else. Well, yeah, it's going there. The dough hook seems to be kneading it. I am not super thrilled about how this turned out in the KitchenAid. I prefer much better by hand. So I'm going to work a little bit more flour into this because I feel it's kind of sticky. I think it's much better worked and done by hand. I normally do. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just not a KitchenAid pro. And I'm just an old-fashioned girl that just likes to knead everything by hand. I don't know what it is. But anyhow, I feel this could use a little more flour and a little better kneading by hand. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to pour this out onto my floured surface here. And I'm going to knead a little bit more flour into this dough until I get it to the consistency. It's too sticky, too wet. And this is a bread dough. You want it to be kind of firm and not so sticky, especially when it's sweet rolls. So I'm just going to gently knead it here to work a little bit more flour into it. And then we'll put it in a bowl and we'll let it sit until it rises. Okay, here's our ball of dough, and I just put it in. You see how it's greased? You just want it nice and greased here so it comes out easily. And we're going to put this cap over it. We're going to let it sit until it rises pretty high before we punch it down. Okay, you see how high? This has risen double, and that's what we want. It's risen nicely. And I'm going to punch it down several times. Now comes the hard part. Rolling these out and shaping them. I consider it to be the hardest part. But that's what we're going to do next. Okay, what I'm going to do here is roll this into a rope. I've cut this dough into strips. You see this? I just took the dough, threw it on the counter here, my floured surface, and just cut them. I cut long strips, and these strips I'm going to just roll them out like a rope. Not super thin, but not super thick. I can't get technical and tell you exactly because you're going to make a sweetbread in this, and this, like I said, is the hardest part. Not too long, maybe, I don't know. I really honestly cannot tell you. I do things just by doing it. Watch and you'll see. You see, I rolled it about as long as this cutting board is, and then I'm just going to wrap it around and then tuck the end underneath. Now you want to do all of them that way. All your strips you want to do that way. It doesn't matter if some are bigger than others. Now, I've got everything done, and I am going to put some butter on top of this. I've melted some butter, and I'm going to put butter on each one. Now is the hard part. The good part, really, not so hard. I push my thumb into the center, and I am going to you can put strawberry jam or preserves. You can put raspberry preserves. I actually use the strawberry and raspberry jelly from Dollar Tree. I think it's a preserve, but it's delicious. Now I have a cup of powdered sugar here, and I'm going to mix it with a few tablespoons of milk. This is our icing for these sweetbreads. And here it is. This is the final. They're ready. They're nice and golden brown. All the raspberry preserves in the center are delicious. This is better than anything you'll buy at any store, and it has pure, wonderful ingredients. I mean, organic flour, organic sugar. I mean, it's got, some things that ain't so great for you, but it doesn't have a whole lot of fakeness, and you get to claim that it's yours. You made it. Well, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy this recipe.